Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. There are recommendations for Prime Minister Andrew Holness to make changes to the structure of his administration for greater efficiency. Public Affairs commentator Claude Robinson is proposing a cabinet appointment for Member of Parliament-elect Dr. Nigel Clarke and for other changes to be made to the office of the Prime Minister. His recommendations are in reaction to yesterday's victory by Dr. Clarke in the St. Andrew Northwestern by-election. Mr. Robinson argues that based on Dr. Clarke's national profile and his past achievements, he should have a place in the cabinet.
Holness doesn't really like advice in the media, but I think if I were him, I would make Dr. Chapman full in charge of the housing portfolio and give Nigel Clarke the economic and job creation portfolio so that he can actually do the things that he attempted to do when he was on the council, on the Growth Council. Now that he has political office and cabinet office, let's see what he can really do.
An emergency meeting is underway at the Nurses Association of Jamaica NAJ headquarters to discuss matters relating to the 2017-2018 wage negotiations. The island-wide meeting got underway at 11 o'clock. NAJ President Carmen Johnson says nurses were called to the meeting following a directive given to her yesterday by the Finance Ministry. She said the ministry has indicated that the NAJ should accept the 4-year wage offer on the table. The nurses previously rejected the offer. Ms. Johnson says following today's meeting, a response to the directive will be sent to the Ministry of Finance. A police constable attached to the traffic department at the Brownstown police station narrowly escaped death last night when the motor car he was driving crashed into a parked truck. TVJ News understands that around 11:45, the constable was driving from St. Anne's Bay towards Discovery Bay when the vehicle got out of control and slammed into a parked truck with hardware items. The car burst into flames, causing the policeman to quickly jump from the vehicle. Quick response from the fire department prevented further damage to the truck. The cop was taken to the St. Anne's Bay Hospital where he was treated and released. The officer's service pistol was also destroyed in the fire. 57 persons have been killed on the roads since the start of the year. That's the latest figure from the Road Safety Unit in the Transport Ministry. Fatalities have increased by 2% when compared to the corresponding period last year. The unit expects fatalities to decrease by 1% for 2018 when compared to 2017. Pedestrians, pedal cyclists, motorcyclists, and pillion users accounted for 53% of road users killed since the start of the year. Males account for 91% of fatalities. The massive breakaway at Isleworth in the Rio Grande Valley of Portland may have been cleared, but access to the community continues to be a challenge. We revisited the area almost 2 months after heavy rains pounded the parish. As TVJ's Janella Perseus reports, nothing much has changed.
Despite being thankful that they're no longer marooned, residents in the Rio Grande Valley say that since the massive landslide in January, getting to and from the community has been problematic. Denton Smith operates a taxi in the area.
This improvement is like nothing, because it's very hard to go over, especially having load. A 2 set of time I buy gone just with skid to go over this mountain. It really can't stay so bad condition it in.
Mabel Harris, who is a market vendor, says it's difficult traveling to Coronation Market to sell her goods.
I have to take 2 vehicles to carry gas man's well, not even more to deal. And when I buy milk, I say milk carrot and milk Irish on the morning time, Saturday night, I have to go down a road down there, gas man's well, or wait for the truck till 12 o'clock at night, charter vehicle down there, I have to wait till the truck come to take them to carry them up back. So it's a great, it made pressure on us.
As a result of the landslide, the people say they've also had to pay more for transportation. And whenever it rains, the road becomes impassable.
Some of the vehicles and them come, then come up on the hill, they have to go down back, speed up again, and to come through very, very rough on us. It is difficult because some of the vehicles and them come, sometimes when they come, they let out the people on the bottom side, and they have to walk through it, come over. If the rain fall with the sun, now they that here now, shine out there now, then I have to let out the people on the bottom side. and the people can walk through it and then come over the other side and take it.
And so the residents are again appealing to the government to fix the road. But Member of Parliament for East Portland, Dr. Linville Bloomfield, says there are plans in place to do so.
I've been assured by the Works Agency a costing is being done to see what is the best pathway to rehabilitate this roadway. The entire stretch from the Moortown cross-section to Cornwall Barracks has seriously been damaged in many places, and the entire roadway needs to be rehabilitated in a major way. So we expect that costing to come in, equally the one at Berrydale and at Bellevue, so that some attention can be paid to it, hopefully in the next budget.
Janella Precious, TVJ News.
Obesity in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean is one of the top areas of concern for the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO of the United Nations. This was expressed on Monday, day one of the FAO Regional 4-Day Conference at the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO.
The Caribbean, unfortunately, is, a world champion in terms of obesity. It is a paradox that this region produces the best athletes and at the same time has such a high proportion of obese people. A world champion in terms of obesity. It is a paradox that this region produces the best athletes and at the same time has such a high proportion of obese people. So this is a very, very serious concern.
Solving hunger and malnutrition in the Caribbean is another significant issue to be looked at during the conference. The FAO is making an appeal to the political directorates of the Caribbean to advance the process of
focus our work on certain critical issues. We need a political mandate in order to really focus our energy in getting results which have large-scale impacts. That means much more intelligent targeting, focusing of our work on those to really focus our energy in getting results which have large-scale impacts. That means much more intelligent targeting, focusing of our work on those very specific critical issues.
Rural poverty and climate change are also areas of concern to be addressed during the conference. Also, the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, and the FAO signed an agreement that will allow the FAO to provide better technical assistance in projects in which the Development Bank is the financer. It will also permit FAO to directly execute projects with funds from the CDB and for both organizations to provide joint assistance to countries of common membership. Lanagay Franklin, TVJ News. To an ongoing water shortage in Balaclava, St. Elizabeth that is causing headaches for residents. Residents told TVJ News that the area has been without domestic water for over 5 months now. They pointed out that some people have resorted to buying untreated water from an unofficial source, which is why they are calling for the National Water Commission to intervene.
The residents have made complaints to the National Water Commission, and it seems as if it has fallen on deaf ears. Now it has reached crisis proportion, where even up to about 2 weeks ago, the life of a worker at the health center in Balaclava was threatened because someone intruded on the property to get water from the clinic tank.
And TVJ News will be focusing on the opposition People's National Party in today's poll findings, specifically how the public views the work of the opposition since February 2016. Today's poll also looks at the performance of the opposition and leaders of the shadow cabinet. Fieldwork for the poll was conducted between February 22 and 26. The RGR Gleaner Group Don Anderson poll used a sample of 1,070 persons aged 18 and over. The margin of error was plus or minus 3%. In news overseas, there may soon be some changes to the gun laws in Florida as the state Senate approved a majority the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act. The matter now moves to the House. Details from the CNN.
On Senate Bill 7026, The secretary will unlock the board.
Floridians may soon have to be 21 years old before legally buying a gun. That's one of the rules in the bill the state Senate passed Monday. It would also establish a 3-day waiting period for most gun purchases, and it bans bump stocks.
We must be the last families to lose loved ones to mass murder in a school. This time must be different, and we demand action.
The measure passed the Senate by a narrow 20-18 margin and must pass the House before going to Governor Rick Scott's desk. Scott has issues with some parts of the proposal.
I don't believe in arming the teachers.
A spokeswoman for Scott says the governor will review the final bill before making a decision. Meanwhile, family and friends of victims of last month's fatal shooting rampage in Parkland are among those calling for change.
What we want to know here is how we're going to make our kids safe, going to school every day. And not just our kids, all of your kids and all your grandkids.
We're going to set the example in Florida so other states could follow. That's why, to me, it's so important that this bill gets passed. I don't want to stop in Florida. I'm not going to be the parent that stopped. I'm going to be the parent that's going to take it from here to the Pacific coast.
Florida's legislature ends its session Friday.
And in sports, despite missing out on a spot at the Youth Olympic Games later this year, Jamaica's under-18 Rugby Sevens team returned home proud of their performances in Las Vegas, Nevada. TVJ's Simon Preston tells us more.
One win from 4 games may not paint the best picture, but Jamaica's under-18 national Rugby Sevens team had their best ever finish in the Youth Olympic qualifiers, finishing 3rd in Las Vegas, Nevada. With only the winner guaranteed a spot at the event in Buenos Aires, Argentina later this year, the Jamaicans missed out on this tournament. Captain of Jamaica's team, Mikel Facey, says with more training time, the Jamaicans could have qualified.
It was a great experience playing as a team with other persons from the UK and Jamaica. I believe that if we had more time to train together and the weather was not all that cold, we'd play a much better game and qualified for the tournament.
The 17-year-old, who will be off with the senior team to the Commonwealth Games next month, says the team's results were not due to a lack of talent in the squad.
Basically, we had a great team this year going out to play in this tournament. It's just simple mistakes that made us lose the match, and we tried to counteract on it for the next game. But we played good, and I'm proud of my team, and we did well, even though we did not win.
Despite only having 2 training sessions ahead of the qualifiers, head coach Antonio Burke also praised how the local and overseas-based players gelled in the matches.
See that 2 units came together for 2 days and accomplished what they accomplished. The whole support behind them, countries supporting them right through the game. It's a good look.
Team manager John Earl Spence commends the growth of the team compared to previous years.
Honestly, right now in this tournament, we show that that gap is narrowing and narrowing. The fact that, we had established teams taking a look and looking at Jamaica and going, whoa, this is not the team we remembered. And, we built a lot of support among other unions in the region and the wider world. So yes, the gap is already narrowing.
Up next for Jamaica's under-18 team will be the Rugby Americas North Tournament, which is set for Mexico in July. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Simon Preston.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Do remember to join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, good afternoon.